Good morning, math classes. I am excited to review what we're doing today. I hope that you guys love this assignment. Some of you guys were getting to be little experts on solving, and this is one of the things that I really need you to know going into next year, especially those of you that want to advance a little further in math. Solving equations, and if you can do this, like we're going to go over the one step today, but the best part is if you can do this, multiple math things become solvable. Multiple different, we can do two-step, we can do, if you know these basics. So we're going to review them really quick. Okay, one-step equations is what we talked about. We're going to balance. Remember, it's equal. We have two things that are equal. We have one side of the equation. It's going to say something. Maybe it's going to have numbers. X plus 5 equals 7. And we're going to have something on two sides, and we want to keep them equal. So we want to make sure whatever's on this side is the exact same as whatever's on this side. So in order to do that, if we do anything to one side of the equation, we're going to do the same thing to the other. That's math law, okay? So one step we ask ourselves, and hopefully this is jogging your memory. Hopefully this is taking you back to math class. Okay, we ask ourselves these questions. To solve a one-step equation, we're going to find out what's the variable. Remember, that's the letter, X, Y, T, Q, whatever the letter is. What's the variable? What's happening to the variable? So is it add? Is it subtract? Is it multiply? So we're going to pick the variable. We're going to see what's happening to it, and then we're going to do the opposite. Remember, the math word for opposite is inverse. We're going to do the opposite of that to both sides of the equation. Okay? So here's an example. Here's the first example. X plus 4 equals 12. Now, before you look at anything else on here, pause the video, see if you can do that just in your head. Most of you probably could, right? You know that 4 plus 8 is 12. But we're going to go through and do this mathematically because it's not always that easy. Remember, we get decimals, we get fractions, and we have to know this like method so that we can solve all of those equations. So the first question, what's the variable? The variable is this, it's the letter. Okay, so what's the variable? The variable is X. What operation's being performed? Well, this is addition. So we found the variable. Now what's happening? This is addition. How do I undo addition? The opposite of addition, so the inverse of addition is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. Now if I subtract 4 from 4, I get 0. So that just undoes that. That's why I did it. I wanted that to go away. Then I subtract 4 from this side to keep our equation equal. And 12 minus 4 is 8. And that's what most of you were doing in your head. Okay, one more example. So example number 2, y minus 7 equals 13. Okay, so what's the variable? The variable is y. Remember, we talk to ourselves in math, we ask ourselves these same questions, okay? What's the variable? The variable is y. What's happening to y? It's subtraction. What's the opposite of subtraction? The opposite is addition. Okay, so if I'm going to add 7, so come down here and look, if I'm going to add 7 to both sides, minus 7 plus 7, that's 0. Okay, you owe me $7, you give me $7, we're square. So that's 0. So all I have left is y. Now I have to add 7 to this side of the equation as well. And remember, these are different signs. So I need to find the difference. The difference between 13 and 7 is 6. And I keep the sign of the larger integer. So 13 is more than 7, so I have to keep the negative. So it's negative 6. I find the difference and I keep the sign of the larger integer. Okay? So let's do an example with multiplication. Here is an example. It says solve negative 6a equals 12. Now the variable's touching this. Remember, this is the coefficient, but this number is touching a. So What's the variable? The variable is the letter, the variable is A. What's happening? They're touching. That's multiply. That means multiply. How do we undo multiplication? The opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by -6. Now, remember, this is kind of like this fraction, and 6 over 6, that's 1, right? -6 over -6, that's 1. 2 over 2, that's 1. Okay, so -6 over -6, that's 1. I just have 1a. That's what I wanted. And now I have 12 divided by -6. Well, 12 divided by -6 is -2. Opposite signs is negative, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. Okay, so the last one, the last math operation is division, and it would be an example that looked something like this. Okay, so if I had b divided by 2, remember this is my fraction line, b divided by 2 equals -10. Exact same steps, okay? What's the variable? What's operations happening? How do I undo that operation? And we undo it on both sides. What's the variable? The variable's b. What operation is happening? It's division. How do I undo division? I multiply. So I'm going to use this little dot for multiplication. To undo divide by 2, I times by 2. Now 2 divided by 2 is 1. I have 1b. If I multiply this side by 2, I have to multiply the other side. I have to keep my equation balanced. It was equal to one thing. Now I multiplied that one thing by 2, so I have to multiply this thing by 2. That way they stay equal. So -10 times 2 is -20. Negative times positive is negative. Okay, 10 times 2 is 20. All right, I miss you guys. Keep working hard. Please contact me if you have any questions. Office hours 10 to 11:30. I'm on live. I'll respond to you almost instantly. I hope that you're doing really well. Please let me know how I can help. Watching the videos and doing the assignment today, you get 3 Rubik's Cube points. There's 2 videos and 1 assignment for each one that you do. You get a Rubik's Cube point. All right, see you guys tomorrow for our live session.